have some nice lunch in the sunshine. I've been to South Africa, lived and worked in South Africa a while. Fantastic place. Would love to be living and working there. Actually, as freelancers, which I'm going to talk about, very good place to be a freelancer. So we are at a festival. It's so good to be at a festival. Fantastic to the GSA for pulling off a conference as a festival. And I want you to take the festival concept. Think that you're at a festival, you're lying in the sunshine, you've had a few drinks, and just imagine, let your mind wander. And imagine a world where you could find any talent that you wanted, any skill that you wanted, in an Amazon.com style manner. So if you were looking for marketers, you're looking for graphic designers, you're looking for software developers, you could use a website to tap into the skills that you needed when you needed them on a freelance basis. They were background checked, they were vetted, they were screened, they were trained, and you could use them seamlessly to augment and supplement your teams. That exists. That would be good, right? It exists and we are enabling it. It's in its infancy, but it's growing incredibly quickly. So as Gary says, I'm Barry Matthews. I'm chief exec of a company called Open Assembly. Open Assembly was formed in 2018 with Harvard University, and it was formed based on a failure. They always say that you learn more from your failures than your successes, and that's certainly the truth with Open Assembly. So it was formed by our founder and now the chairman, a guy called John Windsor. And he was running a creative agency. He was doing incredibly well, running a creative agency called Victors and Spoils. And before its time, really, he'd set up what we might now call a talent cloud. He tapped into freelancers and crowdsourcing models to deliver creative services to his clients. And he was working with really big brands, and he won a sort of front cover of a big magazine for Harley Davidson. And he attracted a lot of attention. And of course, because he had this variable cost model, he was tapping into freelancers, and then they were going off and doing other things, and then he was using them again and again. And he would get a request from a client, and he might put it out onto his platform and say, right, we're looking for ideas for solutions to this request from our client. And so he'd effectively crowdsource the answers and then deliver them to the client. Brilliant idea. His company, Victors and Spoils, got acquired in 2012 by a very traditional creative agency called Havas. Probably heard of Havas. They've been around since the 60s. French agency, brilliant, still around today. And anyway, Havas bought Victors and Spoils and tried to integrate that freelance model into their structure. Visceral reaction. They just sort of spat it out, and it failed miserably. And Harvard University picked this up and thought, well, I wonder why this failed. Why does it work in some organizations? GE were doing loads with remote freelancing at the time, so were NASA, and they still are. But it didn't work with Havas. And so Harvard started studying it. They interviewed John. John effectively left Havas and became their executive in residence, and Open Assembly was formed. Since 2018, we've taken the science and the academic research that Harvard have done on how to work as part of an open talent model. We use the word open like in the way that you'd use open source. So to enable blended workforces in enterprises. Taken those 1,000 projects, pilots, case studies, and turned them into programs for big enterprises. And that's what we do. Now, my background is in the outsourcing industry. I'm passionate about the outsourcing industry. I've worked in it for 20 odd years. I've run different consulting companies. I used to run Allsbridge's business. I had my own company called Source, which was acquired by Allsbridge, and then I ran ISG's business. You've probably heard of ISG. I ran ISG's Northern European business for 4 years. So I know quite a lot about the outsourcing industry. And I've always been interested in spotting trends. You know, I think I was head of cloud sourcing at Allsbridge in 2005 when people said, oh, this cloud business is never going to catch on. We'll never put our apps in the cloud. It's not secure. And now look what's happened. You know, and I think I spotted RPA in 2011. I joined something called the Operational Agility Forum, which the acronym was OAF, and I thought I have to be part of an organization called OAF. And realized that you could put RPA into the BPO industry. We were doing big deals which were, you know, using lots of people doing very repetitive tasks. And was a massive opportunity for RPA, and look what's happened with RPA. And I spotted the talent opportunity, the open talent opportunity, probably in about 2019, something like that, and realized that enterprises were going to start to have to access talent at scale But the talent, the way we hire people, it just hadn't been digitally transformed. It's still not really been digitally transformed. If you want to access a freelancer, it's quite complicated, and that needed to change. And so we set up effectively the business that has become Open Assembly as an intermediary, almost like a sourcing advisor between enterprises who are looking to access remote, digital, agile talent, and then the talent platforms and the freelancers themselves who are looking for opportunities to provide their services to enterprises. So we do things like, we put together a strategy, an operating model. Will help to make sure that access to freelancers through platforms is compliant and it's secure, that there's a VDI solution or some form of solution, that culture is maintained, that quality is maintained, that there's an operating model, typically through a center of excellence, that manages access to freelance talent in a safe and secure way. And when it's done like that, it's game changing, because you've suddenly got the vision that I painted at the beginning. You've got access to the skills that you need to supplement and augment your teams. And if you're an outsourcing service provider and in the room, you will be feeling the pain that all outsourcing service providers are paying. There just simply aren't enough people to deliver the demand that you're getting from your clients. Outsourcing is growing at 20+%. Digital transformation is everywhere. I need front-end developers. I need data scientists. I need testers. I need business analysts. Well, they all exist if you know where to look, and you're happy to take a risk-managed approach to access them using a blended open talent model. I was reading a statistic the other day, Cognizant. In Q4 last year, Cognizant, brilliant organization, were trying to hire 45,000 graduates in Q4 last year, just in a quarter. Attrition rates of 33%, right? Doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that a lot of those over time are going to move on. So you're investing in some of these great people. You're not going to retain them all. Obviously, attrition and retention is really, really difficult in our industry. So imagine if you could just tap into some of them, not all of them, obviously. You create a blended talent model, so you take responsibility for strategy and architecture and program management and security, but maybe the front-end development, the back-end development, the testing can be supplemented with freelance resources as part of a tried and tested, risk-approved, security-approved, quality-controlled manner. Well, that's what a number of service providers are now starting to do. My prediction is that this will, and Kerry said it first, this is going to transform the outsourcing industry. It will offer huge opportunities for those to get it right, and it will offer huge disruption. Because you imagine the platforms, the talent platforms, which are the intermediaries. There are around 600 of them now, and we track them all in our company. Some of them are huge. Freelancer.com's got 58 million registered users. Upwork works with 80% of the Fortune 500 already, right? This is happening. Your clients are starting to tap in to these enterprises, and it's growing pretty quickly. But switched on service providers are also now using these platforms to supplement and augment their teams. And one, just to give you an example, so UST, who won the Change Maker of the Year at the GSA Awards, you've probably heard of UST. They're a great service. Is anyone from UST here, by the way? Excellent. So big shout out to UST. So very, very switched on management team, their chief exec and COO realized the opportunity for open talent. UST are about 30,000 people, something like that. I think growing slightly more than that. Average tenure with their clients of sort of 10 years. Do some brilliant work in partnering with their clients. They realized that they were getting more demand for their services than they could deliver with their full-time workforce. And as much as they have 30,000 brilliant people, they knew they needed to access other skills. So they set up a center of excellence to enable them to tap into a number of these different marketplaces and talent platforms. And they took responsibility for doing that as part of a really clear strategy, making sure they had security nailed, compliance nailed, insurance nailed, indemnity nailed, all of the things that you need to make sure that you can do this in a safe and secure way. They had sorted, they ticked and checked all those boxes. So they've gone from having to wait sort of 2 to 3 months to get full-time people on board to deliver services to their clients to accessing those people in 2 days. It's game-changing, absolutely game-changing. The business case is, you can imagine, right, at that scale, is tens of millions. Imagine it on a bigger scale is hundreds of millions, if not billions. If you can access the skills you need when you need them through a safe and secure and on-demand way, then it's game-changing for our industry. My prediction is that customers will start to go direct to platforms. If you're a service provider, you have to have a platform, and you have to be able to orchestrate your full-time employees and your managed services alongside on-demand services. So it's early days. It's moving incredibly quickly, but watch this space. Look out for open talent, look out for blended workforce models, look out for on-demand workforce models, and it's going to be an exciting few years ahead for the industry. So that's all I wanted to say. There's a panel later. Come and join us for that. I think it's sometime in the afternoon. Thank you.